Police officer attempted to intimidate my patient, loses fight to physics. I'm a paramedic. A few months ago, we're coming back from a routine patient transfer when at an intersection about 4 blocks from the base I notice a woman sitting on the side of the road with her arms wrapped around herself and her head down. I nudge my partner who's driving, and we flip on the lights and I see her head come up real fast, and she looks terrified. I get out and she relaxes when she sees the ambulance. After I approach, I notice bruising on her wrists and other similar signs of domestic abuse. She seems hesitant to get up off the curb and into the ambulance, so I decided that I would at least pull the cot out of the back and give her something a little more comfortable than concrete to sit on. Now a few important details. All the cots in my service are striker-powered cots. You've almost certainly seen these before. They're bright yellow with black handles and side panels. These cots have a motor and battery built in to allow us to raise and lower the cot at the touch of a button instead of throwing out our backs having to physically lift the cot up after loading someone. They're usually paired with an automatic loading system built into the ambulance that lifts the cot up to the right height to be pushed inside and also secures the cot when loaded. There's a little red tab at the end of the track, just inside the doors, that you press down to free the cot and allow it to slide out. When you press this tab, it simply releases the cot and the loading carriage it's connected to, and it's up to you to keep it under control until it reaches the unload position and locks into place again. This can be problematic because these cots weigh about 125 pounds, about 55 kilograms. As soon as I hit the release tab for the cot, I hear lights and sirens behind me. It's a city police car. Which is weird because we had not yet requested police, and we were outside the city, in the sheriff's department jurisdiction. We merely informed dispatch that we were stopping to check on a woman at such and such intersection. The woman says something along the lines of "Oh God, he's here," and moves faster than me, seeing free food being distributed at base. She dashes past me and pretty much hurls herself into the ambulance, sitting on the bench seat. The cop is approaching and he's pissed. I put 2 and 2 together and slam the ambulance doors shut. Let's call this officer Police Officer Steve, or POS for short. POS, is that guy? Is she in there? Me, who? POS, you know dang well who I am talking about. Me, you mean my patient? I'm afraid I haven't gotten a name yet. POS, open those doors, I need to talk to her. Me, you're not using my rig as an interview room. You can talk to her at the hospital. We go back and forth like this for a few minutes. My partner at some point came back to see what the hold-up was, but overheard my stonewalling and went back to the cab to call our chief. I continue my routine of deny and delay until a pair of deputies, likely specifically requested for this by the chief, arrive. Oh good, now I have witnesses. See, we had stopped on an upwards incline. I had hit the release tab on the cot and it wanted to slide back. I had to close the doors so swiftly, I didn't bother pushing the cot back against the stops and locking it in place. Emboldened by the presence of 2 deputies, he gets in my face. Get out of my way or I'm gonna have to charge with obstruction. Okay. I step out of his way, and he opens the double doors. Between the cot, the monitor, and the jump bag, I'd say there was probably close to 160 pounds contained by those doors. All of which comes barreling out and hits POS square in the chest. He goes backwards and falls on his ass. One of the deputies laughs aloud. The other walks up and kneels down beside the guy. He says, "Your shift captain is going to be here in 5, I wouldn't be here then if I were you." POS gathers himself up and scowls at me, then stomps off. There is a limited amount that I can say about the aftermath as the trial is not settled yet, but we all know how well charges stick to cops. The woman is now living elsewhere, the cop is still a cop, and I have been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. But the video footage of him getting body checked by that cop remains one of the best things I have seen. Edit, for clarification, yes, the woman was/is married to POS. And yes, he is allegedly responsible for the abuse. Now to the comments. Thank you for keeping her safe that day. OP is a hero. Cannot upvote this enough. Getting pulled over twice a week is clearly harassment. What does his department say about this? I can't recall the case, but I do know someone successfully sued over this exact police behavior, pulling someone over twice a week. I know someone who was pulled over 26 times in 1 week at the height of the harassment. This was 20 years ago, so he used audio recordings and a VHS camera for documentation. After a month or so, his lawyer got an injunction against the department. He would lock his brakes up whenever he saw a cop car, do a donut/burnout and drive off, flipping them off as they couldn't pull him over anymore. Oddly enough, it was a shithole town in Texas of all places. SWAT eventually raided his meth lab and his days of joyriding were over, but for about 6 months he was Mario Andretti all through that town. Usually paired with an automatic loading system, cries in underfunded volunteer service. Cries in air transport. The office view makes up for it though. One of my medics did air transport for 10-ish years. I would absolutely love to be a flight medic. They actually occasionally steal an EMT for the flight from the ambulance crew bringing a patient, and often the EMT gets to fly all day, so I have my fingers crossed that'll be me one day. You can start getting badge numbers when you get pulled over. Invest in front and back dash cams. If you're in a single consent state for recording, grab a voice recorder as well. Also probably should get a lawyer on retainer. Even if you're not in a single consent state, you can always record on-duty cops in public. Didn't the Supreme Court also rule that cops are always on duty? Fantastic work. Good on you. Separately, if I were you, I'd invest in a good dash cam immediately. One that has a 360-degree view and includes a good view of the car's interior. Would also be good if it live uploads to the cloud. I worry for your safety. The ACLU Mobile Justice app. It uploads your stream to their servers in real time so it can't be tampered with, and when you request the footage, you speak with an ACLU attorney. The Android Mobile Justice app only has 2.8 stars. It's apparently buggy as hell. Can we address how we all just accepted, as normal, that not only is a domestic abuser pretty much immune from charges, but the person who stood up to him in opposition now reports experiencing coordinated harassment from his co-workers? It's a sad state where that kind of behavior is expected. Jumping to the defense of a stranger being threatened without a second thought makes you a fantastic human being and exemplary of what community should be like. Good on you, OP. As a domestic abuse survivor, thank you for going out of your way to protect her from him. The worst situations are when the abuser is in a position of power, or has friends in positions of power that will assist them. Kudos to you. And the deputies that made him leave. I'm sure that woman will remember your assistance for a long time. I will say though, I would pay big money to see my abuser get knocked on his ass due to his own stupidity. I'm sure watching that happen to him made that woman's day. Right? Like I am separately furious that even in this situation the other cops were like, lol, better get out of here before you get caught. 42% of spouses of police have reported domestic abuse when surveyed. But we all know how well charges stick to cops. And I have been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. Ladies and gentlemen. The police of America. WTF is wrong with our justice system today? I wasn't a happy way to start the day. That's an accurate description if I ever heard one. It was the exact thing that I thought reading it. Also, is it just me or do a large number of these scumbags seem to think they're in a Dirty Harry movie? He seriously made a one-liner quip. The cop is still a cop. I wish I could say I'm surprised. I'm glad you found the woman and were willing to help. though goodness knows what could have happened if you'd chosen to pass by.